Just a really short video today about how to fussy cut when you've lost your acrylic template and how to make the fabric work for you. So I've got my star, which I want to use as the centre of my hexy flower, got my paper templates, and I've got this fabric which is from the Craft Cotton Company. And what I wanted to do was fussy cut this Christmas tree so that I can get a lined effect and create a frame around my centre star. But if you're anything like me, I've put my acrylic template down, and because it's see-through, I can't quite find where I've put it. And this is just standard for me. I always put it down, and I think I've put it somewhere safe and can't quite remember. So this is about how to make the fabric work for you if you don't have an acrylic template or can't remember where you've put it. So look at your fabric and use your template and see if there are any points that you can kind of match up when fussy cutting. It's probably easier if I show you. So I know I want this curve of the tree to come on the bottom half of my hexie. So what I'm going to do is line up this point of my hexie with that point of the tree and this point of the hexie against the edge of the tree. So this way I know that when it's basted I can get the rough lined effect that I wanted to get. And you could do it for any sort of thing really, especially with sections it works really well. So if I'd wanted to take a section of this Christmas tree, I can line it up against the trunk of the tree and then know that all of them are going to match because I can line all of them up in that same way without an acrylic template. So let me go back to showing you this one. So I'm going to lay my paper template on top, making sure my point is matching up the point of that Christmas tree, and this point up here is on the edge of the Christmas tree that side. And I'm going to cut it out roughly around about 3/8. I tend not to pin it when I'm cutting because I'm not too precise about it. And I'm going to use my clips to hold it at that point because that's where I want it to stay, and that point down here because I want it to stay there. And then here I might just trim this extra bit off. And then I'm going to go ahead and baste it, doing thread basting. So I put a couple of knots at the end of my thread, then place the template onto the wrong side of my fabric. And because it's a really clear print, I can then do the same lining up from the back of my hexagon. So I'm lining, let's see if you can see it, I'm lining that edge up here and that edge up here. And again, I'm just going to go ahead and clip it to hold those points in place where I want it to meet. So one there. And actually I'm just going to use the one clip on this because these are only 1/2 inch hexies. And I'm going to start my basting on this corner so I know that this point will be right on the point of my hexie. And I'm kind of working from both sides so you can keep flipping back and forth to say, and you can see it's already, I'm there, making the fabric work for me. Then I'm going to go down and come back up so it secures that in place. And then just going to work my way around using my fingers to really push it in. Take my thread back down on a corner in the same way I did in the diamonds video. Come back up halfway along. Take it down again. I'm going to keep this clip on for as long as possible so I continue to make sure that those points are going to match. And then when I can't baste anymore because the clip, that's when I take it off. And again, I'm just going to roughly check before I baste that corner that it's lined up in that corner. Just from flipping it back and forth, you can constantly check it's in the right place. So I'm quite happy with that one. And just continue working my way around, making sure these corners are going to be held in place nice and tightly. And then once I get back to the start, I'm just going to add another knot into it. And then the fun bit starts. Come back up. And on my last corner, tuck it in, go down, back up, and just tie my knot off. Okay. And then for your hexy flower, you're going to go ahead and do 6 of those because they're going to be each of the petals in your a hexy flower. There you go, even lost the centre hexy then, lose everything. So you've got your star, which is going to be the centre, and you've now taken a section of the Christmas tree and you've used the hexagon to make the fabric design work for you, because you can't find or you don't have an acrylic template. And this can work with lots of things. It's about looking at key areas on the fabric that you can line up with corners on the hexie. So once you've got your 6 of those, there you go, some from earlier, you can then start to place around the star. And the key thing when you're playing with sections is to play. It's about giving yourself permission for it not to be perfect, for you to make mistakes, and then that's when the unexpected can happen. So my first instinct was to always go like this. I think there's something about us as humans that look for symmetry and we like repetition, so I like that, that's quite nice, that'll work. Or the other options, you can then, I didn't move that across very well, did I? Place it around, but then I've just turned them 180 degrees to see what effect that will give me. Exactly the same section of the Christmas tree, but simply by playing with the angle of it, it's given it a completely different feel. So in comparison to this one, where it's very condensed, this one feels like it's much more open and it's spreading out. And then you can go for more options. You could create a windmill effect and make the edges go all the way around your star. So there's no one way to do sections or to create frames. Create an in the round sort of windmill, or you could match up 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom, and have these 2 facing in. Or again, you could then just switch these 2 and have them facing out instead. That creates a sort of lined effect. So there are so many different options. Some fabrics it works with better than others, and that's fine. But it's just about giving yourself, I think it is about giving yourself that permission to play and to be open to making mistakes, because it very rarely happens first time. So explore, unleash your creativity, unleash your inner child that wants to grab all the crayons and start drawing everything, and just have a play. So don't always go with your first hexie layout. You know, if you want to go back and say that original one, then that's fine, but also have a see what other options there are. And there you go, that's how to make the fabric work for you when you can't find your acrylic template.